I think you come to the Belgian to win it.
One that shows fight. Good afternoon and welcome to the Don Morel Show. They're your chance to hear the thoughts and comments of the head football coach of the Little Giant program. And Coach, we get ready to start the 2023 season. I know we've all been waiting. The week is here. Little Giants will head out to Virginia, a place that, along with every other team in Division III, we also hope to be in late December, where the national championship game will be played in Salem, Virginia. But Wabash gets an opportunity to play the next game in the Gentlemen's Classic against Hampden-Sydney College on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Last year's game, a 52-48 victory. Little Giants scored on the final possession. Got a big touchdown run from Donovan Snyder as part of a 271-yard rushing effort. You have almost everyone back from last year's team. What are some of your thoughts having gone through the first practices and knowing that you've got a lot of guys who are familiar with this Hampden-Sydney team and have played in the game against the Tigers? What are your thoughts going into the game this weekend?
Well, I think it's going to be a completely different game than it was last year. I think both defenses have improved immensely. So definitely a tighter football game. We have a bunch of guys back, so do they. I think both teams know each other very, very well. They know what we want to do and what we like to do. It's going to be the case of who makes the fewest mistakes in the first game.
One advantage, we'll start on the offensive side, and a lot of the offensive numbers come from number 2. Liam Thompson up for several awards. Certainly, coming off of a spectacular season where he broke the single-season passing record at Wabash, broke the North Coast Athletic Conference single-season passing record. He led the nation, led Division III in passing yards per game. You always say, you may not be able to replicate a season, but how does he put up numbers like that, knowing that he also has several of his weapons back from last season with Derek Allen Jr., with Cooper Sullivan, with Jacob Riddle, with Donovan Snyder and Cade Campbell coming out of the backfield, with All-American tight end Penn Stoller? How do you repeat some of those offensive numbers?
I think the only numbers Liam really cares about is the fact that we were 7-3 last year.
Mentioning that, your last game of the season last year, a loss, won't dwell on that.
Sure.
But how does that motivate the team heading into 2023?
Well, it clearly illustrated as good as we think we weren't very good. And we have got to do much better, including the offense, also the defense. We struggled at times in the kicking game last year. So we have plenty of work to do. The great news is we're doing it with guys who are doing it for their second or third or fourth time.
You're 2 seasons now removed from the season that was canceled due to the pandemic. You certainly have had more of a regular routine. How has that helped this team prepare for 2023, knowing that you had a full regular type of spring practice season in the non-traditional part of the year, and then were able to get into camp, everything was normal, you weren't dealing with testing, with things along those lines? How has that helped this team prepare?
Well, just the sense of normalcy, the uneasiness of 2021. Was something going to happen? Was somebody going to test positive? That clearly is way behind us. We have moved on, and it's fun just to be, and every day there's another illustration of more normalcy around here.
You talked about the defense and talked about some of the returners. There are some guys up front that will kind of lead that push with Stephen Thomas, Will Olive. You've also got some returning linebackers. Joe Rios immediately pops to mind as a senior. And you have some seniors in the secondary with the Netting brothers. Now that you have some of that experience, we were fairly young in some of those positions. You'll still be young with Gavin Rupert, who came on as a real star of this defense last season as a freshman. but having that time to be in Mike Riding's system, having a new defensive line coach with Marcus Adams here, having some familiarity with Joe Reardon in his coaching duties, how does that help having these more veteran players being leaders on that defensive unit?
Well, big time. Also, we started Jake Pash as a freshman. You know, Avery Epstein returns for his third year. So we have kind of built the thing around guys who've been here a while. But it's nice just to have older players in key positions, and we think they're going to do great things.
Team will do light practice on Thursday. I think you said yesterday about 90 minutes. And then you'll take a 2-day bus trip to Virginia. You'll be able to break that trip up before heading to Hampden-Sydney Saturday morning for your regular game day routine. How does a trip like that affect the team in terms of its travel? You're used to some longer travel trips. I mean, it's not unusual for us to take a 6-hour or 5-hour bus trip on a Friday to get ready for a Saturday game. Doing that over 2 days, how does that affect the team, or does it really seem like a longer North Coast Athletic Conference trip?
I think it will, the way we're breaking it up. And I've been asked by a number of our alums who are willing to fund the plane trip why we're not flying. It's just safer and easier right now. Planes are getting canceled constantly. There's no safe way where you could lose a flight to cancellation. So it's easier on the bus. I never thought I would say that in my life, but that's the truth.
So you don't want to play the game on the tarmac at the Charlotte airport?
We do not.
Looking at film on Hampden-Sydney, you know, and this will be a big game for them. Their head coach, who's been there 24 years, Marty Favret, has announced this is his final season. He's the winningest coach in program history. So obviously they'll have a lot to play for. I know you've had a chance to see film of what they've done last year. I believe they have a new defensive coordinator this season. So what do you expect to see from the Tigers on Saturday?
Defensively, you just kind of take a guess. What the guy did in years past and what he may have fallen into. So that's a guess there. I have nothing but respect for Marty, who, like a couple other coaches only in this country, knows what it's like to coach at an all-male college and the challenges you face in recruiting and the day-to-day grind. So I congratulate him on an incredible career. And then they have a number of talented players coming back on offense, so we're going to have our hands full.
Final question for you today, the simple one. Keys to the game for Wabash to come away with a victory?
I think every coach in America at the end of their first game hopes they haven't had a critical turnover. They hope they haven't had a critical penalty, that they got 11 guys out on the punt return team, not 10. All the first game mistakes I've witnessed on the Division I games I've watched.
That game, 1 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Links to the live stats and the live video feed are available on the Wabash College Sports website on the football schedule page. I will be there providing an audio broadcast of the game. That link is also on the schedule page as well. A reminder, Hampden-Sydney, if you're planning on going to the game, if you're in the Virginia area or making the trip out, there are no tickets for the game. However, there is an entry fee for your vehicle, $20, which will include your parking, and that's $20 regardless of the number of people in the vehicle. So we hope to see you at the game. If not, we hope you enjoy watching it. And as always, Coach, we hope the Little Giants come away with a victory on Saturday.
Thank you.
You've been watching the Don Morel Show. It's your chance to hear the thoughts and comments of the head football coach of the Little Giant program. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
I think you come to the Belgian to win it.
Wabash always fight.